Hi, I'm Drew Anderson. I'm a psychologist and a psychology professor at the University of Albany. And I'd like to start by really thanking all of you for what an amazing job that you do and an important job. But as all of you know, that job comes with a lot of increased stress. And along with that stress, really the potential for negative emotional reactions. We know that people in nursing have lower quality of life at times. And then actually higher rates of things like depression and even suicidality. Now, this might be the job that you guys do because it's stressful. It might be other life events, and it might be a combination where you just start to feel overwhelmed by everything that's going on. So what I'd like to do is just take a couple of minutes and talk to you a little bit about what to look for in your colleagues, and then what to do about it if you see someone who does seem like they're in distress. So to start off with, to look for distress in someone, or to know someone's in distress, you've got to learn to look for it. And the problem is that most of us don't like to go out of our way to tell our colleagues that we're in distress. This is maybe the culture. I know, in medicine, we've got sort of a culture of pretending like we're invulnerable and that nothing's wrong with us, and that we're, invincible. It might be a little bit of embarrassment, either to admit that you're in distress, but also embarrassment maybe about the problems that you're going through. And so what we know is that people sometimes don't say things overtly. They kind of give us coded or hidden indicators that they're in distress. And this is, particularly, you might be able to pick these things up if you know these people well, if you work with them. And so I'm going to give you a couple of, I think, the biggest things to look for in another person. And one of those is, flat affect or just emotionlessness. And this is something where someone, we see they used to take joy in things, and we see that they just don't seem to be, they don't have that spark that they used to have. They seem down, they're very cynical. And that's something we see, especially if that's a change. Now, I know that there's a lot of kind of cynicism sometimes in medicine, but this is something where you see a change. And the other one that I think it's really important to look for is withdrawal, and that's pulling back from things. Like if everybody used to go out after a shift, or and they stop doing that, or they stop eating lunch with everyone else, and seem to pull back and go within themselves a little bit. And those are both signs that generally that person is possibly under a lot more stress. Maybe they're just having a bad day. But maybe it's something that's especially if you see it over time, might be a little more serious. Because we know that a natural human reaction to distress is to pull back and withdraw. It's not a very helpful one, but it's a very common one. So that's what I would have you look for. Kind of changes from the baseline in the person that you see. And then what to do about it. The first thing to do, and this is the most important thing, is just to ask. If you're wrong 95 times out of 100, no big deal. Hey, are you okay? Something like that. Again, these are typically people you know well enough, you could at least ask them that sort of question, even if you're just professional colleagues. And what we know is that just asking, hey, are you okay? Or something like that is actually healing in itself. First of all, it normalizes the idea that people can have problems because you're asking about them, but it also shows you care. And a lot of times people in distress, one of the things they start to feel like is that they're all alone in this, so they can't talk about it. So by you sort of opening the door to this, you can really get them to start to feel like they can't talk about these things. And again, many times they'll be like, nah, I'm just having a bad day, or I'm just thinking about something. But if the person does say, yeah, I really am struggling with something, the next step I would say is be prepared to kind of help out. Now, this could be you if you feel up to it and you feel available for that, to say, hey, give me a call, or let's go out and do something, or feel free to talk to me whenever. But if you're not, and sometimes we're not for various reasons, think about having a couple of resources on hand. Many of you may have an employee assistance program or EAP available. You might have someone within your department or within your area that might be kind of the next referral place. It might be a supervisor. But there's someone you can help refer people to, because often this isn't something, if a person is really distressed, that you can help with completely on your own. And they might need that next level of care. So I think it's helpful to have one of those or two of those kind of on hand to be able to do something about it. So kind of to sum up, stress really is an inevitable byproduct of nursing. In general, you guys, again, do amazing work, but stressful work. And sometimes it can just get too much. People get overwhelmed. So what I just encourage you all to do is look out for each other, right? And be active in asking about each other's mental health. Hey, are you doing okay? And be able to provide whatever support you can. Again, maybe that's you, maybe that's referring them on to someone else.